Good night, everyone, and welcome back to the Nocturnal Corner with Bat. And in today's episode, we are going to be doing another legendary weapon showcase and review. And this one's going to be one of my favorite little bangers, the legendary Draco Flamethrower. And this thing certainly is legendary, because if anybody knows about this thing, they know that it gives you a better ass burn than if you were on the Hot Ones YouTube channel. So, what is so bad about this little bad boy here? Well, that it does insane damage and is usually on fast builds known as dogs that will run and ruin your fucking day as if you were a mailman and that guy had a pit bull. So, let's take a look at here. This is going to be not mine. This one's going to be from the market because mine is upgraded. So I want you to see the default stats and why you should consider having one of these painful machines in your garage. So, why you want to have this in your storage, you might say? Well, this is going to be doing a steady stream of fire, and fire has a passive of heating up parts to 100%. So, what does that mean? When you heat up those parts and they turn bright orange, you're going to be giving your teammates something to shoot at so they can do more damage while also doing more damage yourself, up to 100%. So think of having an autocannon shooting this orange bitch, and it's like the equivalent of having two autocannons shooting this orange bitch. Do we have a clarity on that one? Of course we do. Now, the hit right here, it doesn't hit. It kind of hits as similar to a steel one, you know, it's in that like 30s per hit, but this thing is going to have a way faster fire rate right here. I think the only thing that has a fast fire rate might be a minigun, or even on par. I honestly can't really tell you because this thing shoots so damn fast that since it is a steady stream of fire, you're going to be seeing your damage numbers go up tremendously. I am talking about one of the highest damaging weapons in the game. If you want to hit that little shit in your garage, that little orb, and have that thing go ding 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 in that 10 seconds, these are the weapons to do it. You can do it with a blight, you can do it with an egg. What is this shit called? An icebox. There you go. You can do it with one of those bad boys, and there you go. 999 right across the goddamn board. And what does that mean? An enemy is about to have a really bad day. And if you got that enemy on your ass, you're about to have a really bad day. So you want to have one of these on your team. You will mostly see these, at least one of these bad boys, whether it be a Draco, a Remedy, or a Firebug. Obviously, a Firebug's going to do a little bit more damage, and Firebugs, tactically, you know, they can do a 360 turn. You know, they can spin around like a fucking ballerina if you want to. These bad boys, though, are going to have their own little thing, and that's, most people are going to put them down by the frames, making them a little bit harder to hit. And when they're down there, you can kiss your frames goodbye. And if you're one of those suckers that was like, you know, it sounds pretty good to put an ammo box into my cabin, who's gonna shoot that bitch? Well, the Draco's gonna come and ruin your fucking day and take away your whole strategy. That is the point of the Draco farming flamethrower. If you can read right here, agricultural flamethrower. And I don't know where they got the design for this thing, because I looked this bitches up, and not one looks like this thing. This looks like they just slapped a whole bunch of shit together and said, yeah, this looks like it's good for farming. If you don't know, the whole point of a farming flamethrower, it is not actually to kill weeds, it's actually to root out the seeds, to prevent weeds from growing back, and that way they can fertilize their land. These are actually very good for our farming community. You're welcome, vegans. Anyways, let's take another look. Their range, of course, these things have an effective range of absolutely piss poor, so you're not going to be running around trying to do donuts around some motherfucker. You are going to ram them. And these little blades here are not for show, my boys. This thing actually has some ram damage to it. You're looking at, which one of these? Bonus to ram damage, 150% bonus to ram damage. So you can actually ram with this piece of shit. While also it's going to have resistance because it's going to be in the front of your shit. Like, let's be honest. You don't want this thing getting rammed. You do kind of want that resistance. And here's the thing is, when you go and ram, you know that you're going to do some damage to yourself. Usually it's not too recommended to have these things poking out too much, because even though their durability is basically 400, they can pop off rather easily. You do kind of want to be a little bit careful, and since you are going straight at them because you want to ram them as best you can so you can burn the whole undercab of their ass, you kind of got to be a little bit careful, because, you know, if they got shotguns, if they got fucking, they're a good shot with a scorp, you know, miniguns, whatever, and they're just shooting right under you, these things will pop off faster than you will realize. So you do got to be a little bit careful with these things. Now in total, you could have up to 4 of these, not really recommended. The best way to run these things is having at least 3, so that's going to be a total of 12 energy points. And that is going to be great for a variety of different reasons. 1, you're probably going to want an engine so you can go faster. 2, you're probably going to want an invisibility module so that way you can sneak in there and not get shot the fuck up while you're trying to go in there and do a fucking drive-by. Even though it's not really a drive-by, you're literally ramming this motherfucker in his ass, so you gotta you know, invisibility module and speed is kind of, you know, a little nice. Another thing you could do is, since these things have not very good durability in most regards, you could try to be a little bit maneuverable and put like an inverter or whatever the hell that fucking thing that looks like a cross on these things and try to make them a little bit more durable. Is really up to you. But of course, one of the most important things is you want a radiator. I did do a time stop watchy thingy with these things multiple times, and if you look right here, they only last a total of a whopping 6 seconds. Yes, 6 seconds. Now this thing is very high damage and all that, but that 6 seconds is not going to be doing a whole lot for you, so you kind of got to really keep that in mind. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, please do keep that in mind. Now, mine is also upgraded, okay? Mine is upgraded to having bonus to range by 15%. And usually range is, you know, it's just something that it's only good for when you are chasing somebody and they are on par with your speed or a little bit faster, or, you know, they could be those annoying ass little hover bitches that, you know, they have that great ass acceleration where they can just turn in any fucking direction because why the fuck not? Now, if you are looking right here, there is about 11, that you can count it yourself, 11 8-point long, one of a 6, and then a 1. So this is going to be a whopping 96, okay? 96. This is going to be with that. And you can see this is going to be the maximum range. If I even back up a little bit, I am no longer hitting this. So this is going to be your range. You can see this, the white line is all the way back here, so this is going to be around that 25. I do think it is going to be a little bit less than that, with even having that 15% to your Draco, okay? So you're not looking at a whole bunch of range, so you are going to be really wanting a build that can get in there. Another thing is, a lot of people are going to be using the Blight, okay? The Blight is going to be faster. The Blight is going to give you a perk specifically for your Flamethrowers. It's going to give you that 20% damage to it and that 50% range, okay? So that way, if they are running away, you can press that thing and you can try to burn them while they're shooting at you. But a lot of people are going to be trying to use these things for that 20% more damage. But since the Blight got nerfed and they did 10% on all Flamethrowers, you don't have to classify yourself specifically to a Blight. The best part about the Blight, in my opinion, is really the speed and that 20% damage. But of course, you could be like me and be a little bit of a rebel, and you could run the Yokozuna or the Icebox. Personally, I love doing that, because when a fire dog comes in here and he's like, I'm about to bite you, bitch, I just fucking steamroll his ass, and I just start driving him and pushing him right into a fucking wall and throwing him into a river. He can't stop me. That bitch can't stop me now. I probably could show you a bunch of gameplay of me just steamrolling these fucking dogs with a bigger dog, okay? So, now that we got the range, now that we got that, I am going to show you a little bit of the damage. You know what? We can't do it with this piece of shit, though, so let's delete all this nonsense. You know what? I ain't even gonna fucking do it. So we're gonna do a little bit of a build. You know what? Fuck this shit. This is boring. I don't want to fucking build. We're gonna just pull up one of my fucking builds. Here we go. Speaking of big-ass box boys, yeah, say hello to my fucking fire dog, bitches. So we're going to go do a little bit of a test here, just so we can burn it and see how much damage this thing can do. And this is going to be without the 20%. This one is going to be my Yokozuna build, not my Icebox. But let's just take a look at the damage on this bad boy. Yes, now imagine 20% more damage. You're welcome. So, now that we got all that, this is going to be, again, one of the best legendaries in the fucking game. So if you really want to, you know, you want to make some people mad, Fire Dog's the way to do it. You are fucking welcome. You can go make a bunch of losers rage quit and probably get some playful messages in your little comment section down below. So, I hope you guys enjoy this, and I can't wait to see what kind of comments and maybe whatever the fuck you want to tell me. And maybe you could tell me, hey, Bat, where the fuck have you been? And it's like, well, I'm about to tell you when we get into the actual video. So you sit back, enjoy, eat whatever the fuck you want, let it be your grandma's pussy or whatever. You enjoy this video, and we will talk later. You have a wonderful night. And look, what did I say? I told you I'd be back. Just had to get my intro out of the way as we did a little bit of a review of the beautiful weapon. And now we're going to be doing some gameplay with this bad boy. So, there's going to be a few things I'm going to be talking about besides just the Draco. And if you can see here, what I am doing is I'm actually going to be going through Blight, then Icebox, and then Yokozuna. So it's going to be two heavies, and then you got the light boy over here with the Blight. So a lot of strategies will be is to usually hit the stragglers in the back, so that way you can sneak across, you know, maybe pick off one, get an easy kill while the rest of the enemy team is pushing forward. And of course, like I said, having that speed and that invisibility module, you can get a good sneak on like we're going to have here with Mr. Step. Alright, so a little bit of advice when you are dealing with spiders and some other heavier builds is you do want to kind of do what I'm doing here and going for the back. That way you can get a nice stick and they can't really push you off as easily. We're going to have another example here shortly. I just got to get my speed in there. Alright, see this now. This one is not going to be the Greta legs or whatever the hell. These are going to be the big rums. These mixed with that heavier cabin that he has, you can see he is having a lot of good movement and whatnot. But since we are sticking to his back, we're not getting shot, and he can't really throw us off. And lucky for us, his teammate decided to do a whoopsie and gave us another free kill. And that's going to be a great start to showing off the power of the Blight and Draco. Alright, now on to our next game. I believe there's going to be 4 games with the Blight. We are going to be really seeing some rather destructive power. And you can see I did something a little bit different. I put the ammo boxes on the roof, and I tried to stick them decently high up there with, you know, some bumpers on there just so they don't get shot right off in the start. Because personally for me, you could use those. Basically, some people, what they do is they'll take the ammo boxes and they will stick them to the front. But after they did nerf the ammo boxes, you don't see it as much. And they were basically used as kind of like ramming bombs, kind of like, what is it, the javelin and whatnot. I think that's what it's called. No, the Lancelot. Sorry, I haven't used that weapon or seen that weapon in a long time. But basically, you would ram and do like a hefty amount of damage because you know when the things explode, it will do damage to you and also the enemy that is in the proximity. However, for me, I never really cared for that type of strategy, and usually having 2 ammo boxes of the epic rarity is going to be a bit more valuable because having that, you know, that bullet or fuel, whatever the hell, you know, it's a flamethrower. I was going to say bullets, but it's not a bullet weapon. That 444 that you see me starting out with is actually very good because when you only have 100 fuel for this weapon, since it has that super high fire rate, you will notice that you might not even get a single kill in the game just because you're going to be running out of fuel rather quickly. So for me, sticking them up at the top with a bunch of, you know, pass-through parts really made it easy to, you know, keep my ammo consumption, especially since, you know, earlier when this game's development, when you did lose ammo boxes, it didn't take away your ammo, but, you know, this was like something like way when the game like first came on the PlayStation. You know, it's kind of important to have that ammunition. Now you see I did have it up there, I'm losing 1, and I am taking a decent amount of pounding. That spaced armor, or you really want to be careful with how you put your armor on these things. You can see I am definitely taking a pounding, and you know, being stuck to one enemy that can't really hurt me versus just moving off of him and going after the other enemies is really just benefiting me so that way I can stay alive. You want to be on the move when you are taking those shots. And here you can see I still have my ammo box. They didn't really hurt me or really take off any of my weapons. And I'm still holding on to one because of the helicopter pass-through part. And you can see the speed coming into play here where I'm having a nice chase with this guy. And I'm not really using my perk or anything yet until I get a little bit closer so that way I know I'm not just wasting, you know, fuel consumption and I can actually move in there for the kill. Alright, another great game with the Blight. Now, of course, you know, there's going to be its drawbacks. Since it is faster, the Blight can't really carry a whole lot. That's why you're going to usually see these builds not really surpassing 3K or anything like that. At most is going to be like around the 2K, maybe like high 2K, you know what I'm saying, in that durability aspect. But that's actually pretty good, especially when you have that spaced armor and whatnot, and keeping your, you know, your... Another reason why I put those things on the roof is because since there is, like, you know, more fire dogs lately because of how strong the weapon is, there is going to be points to where you might find yourself facing other Dracos or Remedies, and they could basically pass through, since it does have that 100% pass through and penetration. It could just go through your build and eventually just go right through your frames, and then eventually hit either your ammo boxes or your generators. So usually I'll put my generator on the bottom below my cabin, and the cabin will stop a lot of that pass through from them getting through. But you know, if you have them more down there, the easier it's going to be for them to hit something that's going to make it all just pop, and there goes all your frames, and you're just going to be, you know, a big mass that can't do much. Now you see here my strategy is, and this is why I tell people always pay attention to their radar, is I saw that I was getting chased by Mr. Gravistar over here. So I don't think he expected a little bit of a turnaround. Ah man, dumbass. And this is why you gotta pay attention to your fucking radar, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, you got an easy kill right there chasing, but you know, if you're dead, who are you gonna be killing? Alright, so an excellent example of, you know, every now and then just take a peek at your radar, especially when you are a fire dog. You are going to be wanting to know where the enemy is at all times, so when you are burning somebody, you're not going to have somebody burning you in the ass as well. Alright, and here's some examples. We got another build over here, trying to stay away from his front, but at the same time, if he did hit me and I had, you know, all my stuff at the bottom, he could actually still win the fight even while he's, you know, in this state, just because he could get that lucky shot to pop all of my ammo boxes and my generator. Alright, so I believe this is going to be the last game with the Blight, and then we're going to be moving on to the heavies. And like I said, the beauty of the Blight is it is going to make it so it can, it basically has like 3 little perks to it. The first one is that 50% range. So, you know, if the enemy is like how that one game was, a bit faster, or a hover that's going to be having that insane acceleration, so he's going to get a few shots and maybe get a dodge in there and whatnot, you could apply, you know, the Blight's perk and, you know, do some ranged combat. It's not going to be very long range, as we saw, but you'll still be able to do some high damage while chasing him, and that could drop him to the ground. Alright, the other thing is with the Blight, and this is going to be one of the more, you know, nicer things, is it will apply the heating perk when you're in that green fire by, like, I think it's 0.5 of a second faster. And then from there, you're also still going to be doing that 20% damage. And if the damage part is really what you're after, but you are feeling something a little bit heavy, remember that these are frontal weapons, they aren't turrets, so the Icebox is going to be a great substitute for that. The only issue is that the Icebox doesn't have a whole lot of speed. You'll have a lot of armor to really get in there, but like I said before, just put 3 Dracos and then try to get your way to have an engine, a radiator, and a chameleon. And I thought that was kind of cute what that dude did right there. He tried to actually use his harpoon to fucking get out from away from me. Alright, and then I feel bad for my teammate here. You gotta be careful, because a lot of people, like especially when you're in clan wars, you'll have maybe that designated role to keep your teammate alive, and they'll expect you to drive around and make sure the dogs are not getting on them. But in some cases it is a little hard, so there I felt a little bad that I couldn't push the dog off of him, but I think I managed to redeem myself here and get him off of my teammate over here and get another win. Alright, and you do kind of have to be a little bit careful. I'm sure you can see the damage is lacking. If you are facing too, like, down, pay attention to where your Draco, the nozzle, like there is like a nozzle in the front where it's facing. If you have that nozzle closer to the ground and you're looking at the ground, you're going to have a nice opportunity that the fire is going to be going into the ground. So you kind of got to be a little bit careful if you put it upside down, because there is that chance, and it has happened annoyingly a few times to where I'm burning the ground and not really doing a whole lot of damage or any damage at all, and it's just the big old pain. And then here we go, I strip this guy. I know that this spider is going to be a problem, especially since, yes, you could burn and do some things, but because of the Amamore, that stuff might stop that, and he might get a decent amount of damage onto you. And that's why I'm actually going after the enemies around this, so that way I can focus onto this spider. And now one of the things that you kind of want to do if you end up in the front is you really want to aim for those frames, so that way he'll just get knocked to the ground and be an easier kill for you. Alright? So, and you can see now I'm just picking off all of the stragglers. I just stripped 2, killed the injured, and then I took out the big one, which was the spider. Now we got, I believe, 4 more enemies. Yeah, I can see it right off at the top. Do try to play off the invisible. This is going to be a problem for him. Getting up close with his weapons up there, he can't do nothing about that, and I was able to steal the kill. Now here's the thing with the icebox and the trouble I was mentioning earlier, is now I can't catch up to Blood over here. But as for his teammates, and for whatever reason this guy has the starter guns, so we're just going to easily wipe him out, and you can see the position with the Dracos down below. He became disabled and lost all of his wheels, becoming another easy kill for us. And now we're going to help our teammate here. We're going to take this out and get a nice 5-piece. However, this is where the game is going to end, because my teammate actually self-destructs and he just runs around the map like a bitch. So that was always great. Nah, here we go. What is this? Still the icebox, eh? I believe after this one we're going to be going to the Yokozuna, and you will be noticing that the Yokozuna will be able to basically catch up more. It'll be able to hold more weight, and it'll benefit greatly more from the speed. And since it is more of a legendary heavy, it'll actually be able to push other heavy cabins a little bit better than the icebox. So it not a whole lot more. Like the icebox can still like do its thing, but since, you know, it's legendary and they boost the stats, the Yokozuna is not going to be the most pushed one, because I guess they just wanted, you know, the speed with the perk. So it's not going to be like, say, a cohort or anything in the push power, but it's still going to be great, and it's also going to be really great with pushing spiders, pushing other dogs, and especially if they're running with like blight cabins, you'll be able to just push them and get right onto their sides. And even if you're head to head burning each other, you'll notice that you could put a bunch of fucking, like, see all those bumpers and shit in the front of mine, and it'll take him a lot longer to actually start doing damage to me unless he starts focusing directly onto my Dracos. Alright? But as soon as you start pushing him and everything, you'll notice that you'll have cases to where you're pushing him so hard that you end up on his sides and his flamethrowers ain't doing shit. You can see here, this dude with his tracks, he's running a light cabin, or a medium cabin, whatever the fuck the Griffin is, and he was not able to push me, and I could just stick right onto him like glue. That is the beauty of running a heavy cabin with your Dracos. Alright? Now, here we go again. What is this? Oh, he has the fortunes, and you can see here comes the push power into play, and I am just basically bullying this gentleman. Sadly, this is going to be another game where it is going to be a loss, I think. I don't really remember, but I do know that I did end this gameplay early, because after I murked the shit out of this dude, which, here he comes, he's thinking he's going to be all high and mighty. And, you know, this was like the early stages before, you know, everybody only ran blight cabins, so he's probably looking at my fucking icebox, and here you see he's just pushing right into me, and then here comes the fire, and you can see with this, I am just doing crazy amounts of damage, since I am getting basically the Blight's perk of 20% without activating it, and he will leave me all the way to 1, and man, that lucky 1 health. Alright, so I believe, what, are we on the, nope, we're still in the icebox. Damn, I thought we were going to be on the Yokozuna by now. But, like I guess said, icebox is a great cabin, and you can see difference night and day versus the speed on this bad boy versus, you know, the blight. Only way to really counteract that is to run Phobos, so you can get that, you know, that 5 speed. If you are lucky enough to upgrade your icebox, it will be preferred that you can get the new upgrade that they added to cabins to get that +3. So that's going to be +8 right there, and that's going to basically bring this up to 80. And then if you can put the, because I don't think I have it on this cabin right now, or at least I'm not sure, because you'll notice that there'll be like slight changes in variation with each like icebox and Yokozuna that I use in this, because I'm actually slowly upgrading them as I play with them, because like I said, it's always important to know how to build, so that way you can build your craft to your specifications and your play style. Alright, but if you're going to be running with this, it's going to be best to run any any engine you can at start, so that way you can get that bonus in speed. But if you can, go from the cheetah, so that's going to be like your main goal is to get a cheetah in there besides any engine, right? So you can get that bonus of speed. The only thing better than a cheetah is going to be the oppressor. The oppressor is actually faster than the cheetah now. It's going to give you that bonus to speed, especially if you can upgrade the speed even more to get a bit more of that. But the best cabin, or the best engine in this case, is actually going to be the new one. I don't know what the new one is called. It's in the battle pass currently, but if you could get that one, it's definitely going to be a lot better. And I don't know if you noticed this, but another great thing about running these heavy cabins that can go a bit faster is you can just basically pull yourself out of these cap cans. As you can see, I just basically did a little bit of a dance, and I actually used this cap can as an advantage to just turn myself around and finish knocking that other guy out. So that is going to be a perk of this. Cap cans are still a little RNG at times with heavy cabins, but if you kind of want an almost sure way of breaking through them, a heavier cabin is going to be a great way versus running a blight. Alright? Just, you know, if they start spamming the cap cans, you might be a little bit in trouble, and you could use one of your, you know, you could get like an Argus, or you could get an Interceptor, you know, use one of your points for that, so that way you're not just getting pinned down. Okay, so that's going to be a great way to go through that. You know, in Clan Wars, if you decide to do something like that, one of those will be great for dealing with cap cans. Okay, so I think we just released a lot of information, and we're finally on the Yokozuna. And you can see, activating that perk and power, I am just basically bullying this dude's spider. Like, look at that. I am pushing a spider. With how many legs was on that bad boy with a cohort? Like, that's impressive, especially as a fire dog. You're not going to be able to do that as a blight, and then we're just going to come right back in here and eat up our kill. But you can notice that there is going to still be a difference in damage here. It's going to be a little bit slower, but still very effective. You can see I did a hell of a lot of damage with a weapon, or sorry, a cabin that doesn't actually boost our weapons in any way. Now, if you are seeing yourself struggling with wheels, I would recommend the other co-driver that gives you like tonnage. That's going to be a great, you know, she's going to be pretty good, especially if you can get her perk to actually get in there. You can, now you get a little bit more bonus to damage, and that might be great for the Yokozuna. But still, speed is going to be a big factor, and you know, survivability is also going to be a great factor. So you know, you got like Grizzly, you got the girl I just mentioned. I'm not saying her name because I don't know what her name is. Like, maybe I don't know how to say it. It's basically like, I think it's the Syndicate driver one that gives you the tonnage, and she gives you like, you know, reduction to slow things and whatnot. You can tell me what the hell you can tell me how to say her name. I don't know how to fucking say her name. I'm not even gonna try. But but Grizzly, her, and fucking Phobos are gonna be your go-to when running a fire dog out of all of them. Don't run the one, you know, that's actually a fire starter chick, because she's not actually going to be doing anything for you, and she's more rockets. Okay? Alright, now we're getting on to the last guy. This is going to be my more modern one, actually. So this is going to be a super armored front and very high power score. They did kind of manage to blast it off, and it's not going to really showcase how awesome of a front this is, having all those bumpers, especially having it like this. Do be careful when running like train plows and things. I've seen some people put those on top. I like having it like my train plow is, making a nice flat surface, because if you're having that flat, wider surface, it'll be easier to catch on to hovers instead of them just bouncing around you, because that shit's so fucking annoying. And when you have that, like that triangle thing, you are going to be making it so that they can slide, you know, either to your left or right. Whereas if you have more of a wall-like front like this that you see here, you'll be sticking a lot better onto them. Okay, so this overall is a fantastic weapon, fantastic with like a bunch of cabins. You don't even have to generally run these cabins if you want to like basically have something a little bit more effective in your playstyle. You can actually run it with almost any other cabin. So if you want to be a little bit more invisible, you could get the Griffin. You know, you could do like the Beholder if you want to, you know, get shot and still be invisible, so that way you can, you know, still be able to get in behind enemy lines. And even if you lose your invisibility module, the Beholder will still give you its perk of turning invisible. So you know you have options. Hell, I even like was experimenting with the Machinist cabin, putting it onto my Flamethrowers and basically having like more durability, and it actually was effective and worked with that as well. So it's kind of the tricks of the trade. With the new update, you can use Flamethrowers on multiple other parts. However, the most effective ones I have seen thus far is going to be the Yokozuna, the Icebox, and the Blight. Those are going to be your most heavy-hitting ones from what I've seen, because it's going to give you that speed, and then the other two is going to give you either like, you know, damage, and then of course you got the Blight, where it's going to give you the speed and the damage, but you're not going to be as tanky and as durable, and you're not going to have the push power that you will when you are running a heavier cabin. Overall, what are your thoughts on the Draco? In my opinion, I think this is going to be a 10 out of 10 weapon. It is very easy, doesn't take a high skill count, which, you know, it is one of my favorite weapons and whatnot. It's kind of a shame to say that. It's not really super high skill. The highest skill is going to be knowing when to push, knowing when to protect. As soon as you know when to push in and when to protect, you are going to be a force to be reckoned with. You can see, like from our videos, and you can watch right here, this part where there's one guy left, my teammate's almost dead, I'm almost dead, and this dude is almost full build. But what you don't want to do is be running fully in, alright? Because you can see, like, we're about to lose this guy over here. Instead of me just pushing in and trying to burn him right away with his guns pointed at me, that's going to be very dangerous. A lot of the times people are going to tell you that you want to sneak, get behind spiders, get behind builds, and really try to position yourself correctly, so that way you're taking as minimal damage as possible and you can go in there and kill the enemy. It's not as hard as it will seem to be. As you can see, I am getting melted right now, but I am going to be backing away, and I'm going to be trying to play more with my teammate that I have left. We are both on fire, the enemy is not, and I think the enemy still has all of his weapons. He's only slightly damaged in the front, so we got to try to make a play to get behind him. Alright, but other than that, you're looking at great damage. You're looking at, you know, great potential. You just need like one radiator and you're good to go. And then you have like multiple options of other types of modules, alright? So in my opinion, this weapon is definitely either a 9 or even a 10, because it is just amazing destructive power that can clear almost anything on the battlefield. So if you like this, please remember to like and subscribe, and I will see all of you next time. Have a great night, everyone.